It's the biggest FDI deal under the Modi government. The American tower company is all set to pick up a 51% stake in Viom for over 20,000 crore rupees as SREI Infra looks to exit. The deal could be announced as early as tomorrow. That's the big CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
The debate will have to be conducted in a manner in which we are able to raise the level of debate rather than use vandalism as an instrument for registering our opinion.
A day after Shiv Sena workers stormed the BCCI office in Mumbai, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley draws the line, says vandalism cannot replace debate in a democracy. Sources say the Indo-Pak cricket series looks unlikely.
Punjab is on the edge over the desecration of the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book for Sikh. Parliamentary forces deployed in Amritsar, Ludhiana and Jalandhar. Tensions escalate in Jammu and Kashmir after the death of a 24-year-old over cow slaughter rumours. Clashes reported in Anantnag and Kulgam.
RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan meets startups and entrepreneurs in Bengaluru, discusses ways to improve the ease of doing business.
Finance Ministry officials meet top foreign portfolio investors in the run-up to the budget, discuss ways to improve the ease of doing business as well as deepening the corporate bond market.
Hero Motorcorp delivers an operational beat in the second quarter. Profits, revenues, margins all above estimates. Cement major ACC disappoints as profits plunge over 40%.
Another lifeline for the Ruiyas and SR Steel. Lenders wave the green flag to refinance loans worth over 14,000 crore rupees. That's another exclusive tonight.
Housing.com all set to raise about $70 million from a clutch of existing investors, including SoftBank. This could value Housing.com at $500 million. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
Incredible run by Sehwag. Sehwag was on fire.
जब मैं बड़ा हो रहा था तो मैं क्रिकेट के पीछे पागल था और कह सकता कि एक पैशन था कि सुबह जाता था शाम को आता था। घर वाले परेशान रहते थे कि ये कहाँ जाता है, क्या करता है, कब आता है। तो उनको, क्योंकि मेरे घर में कोई क्रिकेट खेला नहीं, किसी को क्रिकेट की नॉलेज नहीं, किसी को पता भी नहीं था कि क्रिकेट होता क्या है।
When he started really scoring runs heavily in local cricket, I was umpiring, and it was a joy to watch him because that carefree attitude. I think he's taken it to international level as well.
300, has done a magnificent job, and what an innings, the best ever.
Well, the Sultan of Multan, the Nawab of Najafgarh, call him what you want. When Virendra Sehwag had a bat in his hand, there was never a dull moment. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour on a day when India's most swashbuckling test opener has walked into the golden sunset. Hi, Namtara. Sad day today.
Hi, Shireen. And incidentally, it's also his 37th birthday. And I would just like to say, I remember his 2 triple centuries really well, even though I was just a little girl in 2004.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, just a little girl. But anyway, happy birthday to Virendra Sehwag, and we wish him all the very best for his new innings. The tribute to Sehwag is coming up in just a bit, but first to the action on the Lal Street. It was a choppy session as our market snapped their 3-day winning streak. Profit booking that we saw in the late trade today led to marginal losses. The Nifty lost about 15 points. The index, though, remains within striking distance of 8,300. The Sensex lost nearly 60 points. It did manage to defend the 27,300 mark. Mid-caps managing to buck the trend with the mid-cap index ending in the green. So that was the market action. But here's the big CNBC TV 18 exclusive story. Get ready for the largest FDI deal under the Modi regime. We're talking about inbound FDI. CNBC TV 18 lands at American Tower Company, or ATC, finalizing the acquisition of a 51% stake in Viom Networks for a whopping 20,000 crore rupees. Something we reported right here on CNBC TV 18 on the 8th of April. Here's the big exclusive tonight.
Tower infrastructure company Viom has had many suitors, but it has always stopped shy of actually tying the knot. This may now change. In a multi-tier transaction, US-based tower infrastructure major American Tower Company is all set to acquire a 51% stake in Viom for a whopping 20,000 crore rupees. Of this 20,000 crore rupee valuation, 14,500 crore rupees will be via equity and the remaining 6,500 crore rupees via debt. Naturally, the deal will drastically change Viom's shareholding pattern. The current pattern, which has Tata Group with 54% stake, SREI Infra with 18.5% and Macquarie SBI Infra, IDFC PE, GIC and Oman Investment Fund with the remaining 27.5% will change to one, where ATC will hold the largest share of 51%, Tata Group will hold 32%, Macquarie SBI Infra 11%, IDFC PE will hold 3.2%, with the remaining 2.8% being held by employees and sundry investors. SREI Infra, GIC, Oman Investment Fund will have divested their stake completely. The Kanoria family, which holds SREI Infra, will get a small management control premium of 16,500 crore rupees. ATC will also have the option to acquire a 100% stake in Viom at a later date through a put and call option that is being included in the term sheet.
Well, the deal has been done at a valuation of 12 times enterprise value and 12 times of EBITDA, which is nearly a 10% discount to its immediate competitor and market leader Bharti Infratel. Operationally speaking, for FY16, Bharti Infratel had an EBITDA of about 5,550 crore rupees, higher than Viom's 1,650 crore rupees. Bharti Infratel also has a higher cash flow than Viom and a higher rental profile, but Viom, despite that, Bharti Infratel's tenancy ratio is 1/3 than that of Viom. Now, with ATC coming on board, Viom's cash position and its net worth is expected to increase, making it a close competition to Bharti Infratel. With Shireen Bhan in New Delhi. In Mumbai, this is Kritika Saxena.
So that's a deal that could be announced tomorrow. Incidentally, the SREI Infra stock was up and about in trade today, ending up by almost 5% in the green. And on a day, we did see our markets close in the red. RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan was in Bengaluru today to meet startups. This meeting comes at a time when many startups are shifting out of India to take advantage of easier tax regimes elsewhere. The governor discussed ways to improve ease of doing business for these startups. Also in this agenda was relaxation in rules to raise funds using external commercial borrowings. Here's two entrepreneurs speaking to CNBC TV 18's Purnima Murli after the meeting with the governor.
You know, we've been having this ongoing dialogue with RBI for a year. We as iSpirit hosted Mr. Padmanabhan, the ED, back in January, the governor in February. We've had several meetings in Mumbai. So this is part of an ongoing dialogue. And the focus that we have is to keep in companies in India. As you know, there's an exodus of tech companies outside India. Right. Last year, 54% of them went out. Right. This year, probably 75% it seems have gone out. So RBI and other government agencies are working on a coordinated effort to change regulation so that we are able to keep our tech startups here in India. And today's meeting was a kind of a review meeting to assess progress. And I'm happy to say I'm cautiously optimistic that we will sort this out in the next 6 months or so. We are starting to make some good progress on these issues.
We explained to him the difficulties startups have in the foreign exchange area, basically because of process, lack of clarity, and the structure which the startup industry follows. For example, we issue convertible notes, which are mandatorily convertible at a valuation to be determined in the future. The regulations say that you can issue securities only upon a valuation today, otherwise it will be deemed to be a debt. So we told him that we cannot determine the valuation today, basically because it's linked to the next round. And he said he'll have it examined. And suppose a startup company wants to acquire a company overseas by issue of stock. Now, the regulations are you can do it 4 times the net worth. But the net worth could be a net negative or a loss, but they may have cash because they could have a convertible note. And the value because of IP could be very large. But because there is based on net worth, not on the value they pay, they cannot do that. So because of this, many companies feel it's good to relocate outside because they have this regulation apart from the taxation. And taxation is the biggest issue. So we explained about 10 items to him. And he was very sympathetic. He listened to us. He asked very much questions. And he said he'll get it examined and come back to us.
Well, the beeline to Bengaluru, RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan, they're talking startups, and of course, as you heard, Mohandas Pai as well as Sharad Sharma of iSpirit categorically pointing out the effort on the part of the government as well as the Reserve Bank is to try and see how you can get Indian startups to stay domiciled in India and not move to countries like Singapore. But let's see if we finally see some action taking place. But from one high-profile meeting to another, the Finance Ministry has gone on an overdrive in an effort to iron out tax concerns and improve the ease of doing business. That explains its 3-hour meeting with 33 foreign institutional investors. Discussions ranging from simpler business procedures for foreign fund managers to increasing investments in the corporate debt market to greater tax clarity. CNBC TV 18 Sapna Das reports that some of the suggestions put forward by FPIs could find a place in the upcoming budget as well. Take a look.
It's not often that 40 top-notch foreign institutional investors come together to meet policymakers in the capital. So when investors like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, FPI, Deutsche Bank Singapore, Citigroup and BlackRock India converge on North Block, policymakers put their best foot forward.
Broadly, they're centered around operational issues like registration issues affecting the foreign portfolio investors. We discussed about the fund management industry in India. We also discussed about the corporate bond market, how to deepen them, how to enhance liquidity.
It was a great initiative. It was a great initiative for FPIs to also express their views and for the government to not only have government, SEBI, RBI, CBDT all at the same forum.
The investors have come with a long list of demands, especially on the taxation front. One of these was that the government should further relax tax rules governing fund managers operating from India. Sources say that specifically, FIIs are not happy with the government's stance that fund managers operating from India will be treated as permanent establishment unless certain stringent conditions are met. Now we learn that the government may study these suggestions, though the prevailing argument at the moment is that these rules are in line with global standards. Further, FIIs are also not pleased with the compliance burden going up due to reporting of additional information under various international tax agreements like the FATCA and the soon-to-come base effect and profit shifting or BEPS. They've also pitched for shorter tenure corporate bonds of up to 3 years in a bid to make investments more liquid and have asked for a further extension in the concessional rate of withholding tax of 5% on corporate bonds beyond 2017.
The government has been quite assertive about the fact that they want to maintain certainty around the tax framework as far as foreign investors are concerned, and they continue to remain committed about that.
There is issue with regard to the withholding tax on corporate bonds. So industry, has been asking for a more longer-term treatment of withholding tax. So I think that's a suggestion that has been made.
As of now, FIIs are happy with the government's indications that the suggestions will be studied further. And many hope that some of these suggestions will find some place in the upcoming union budget. In New Delhi, Sapna Das.
Tomorrow, the FPIs will once again meet the top brass of the Finance Ministry. Transfer pricing has been another issue between the taxman as well as foreign investors, which they've not seen eye to eye. Today, the CBDT amended rules for transfer pricing and introduced a new range concept to calculate the arm length pricing for domestic as well as international deals. The range concept will begin with the 35th percentile and end with the 65th percentile of the comparable prices. The CBDT says the amended rules will provide clarity and reduce disputes. Vodafone's counsel Anu Dutt told CNBC TV 18, and I quote her, "These new TPP guidelines do go a long way in bringing the Indian transfer pricing assessments with the OECD guidelines and therefore are closer to globally recognized principles. This has been a long-standing demand of the industry," unquote.
All right, so it looks like things are moving in a positive direction there as far as transfer pricing issues are concerned. But on to earnings action. The country's largest two-wheeler maker, Hero Motors, posted a good set of numbers for Q2, and this despite total income falling by about 1%. Sonia joins us now to take us through the numbers. Sonia, the markets were expecting a rather subdued set of numbers, so the street will be happy.
Oh yes, in fact it's an operational beat for the second quarter in a row, and that's something that the street will like. As you rightly mentioned, the revenues of the company have actually fallen by 1.1%, coming in at 6,837 crores. But this is not as bad as what the street was fearing. The big surprise has come in on the operational front. The margins have risen by 230 basis points year on year, coming in at 15.8%, and the gross margins have gone up 100 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Now, a couple of reasons have led to the margin beat. One is the lower commodity prices, and two is the very successful cost-cutting program that the company had initiated many quarters ago. If you look at the realizations per unit, those have also gone up by almost 3% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, coming in at 43,414 rupees per unit that they have realized this particular quarter. The other expenses for the company too have fallen about almost 1%. So all in all, good set of numbers. Expect the stock to react on the upside tomorrow.
And thanks, Sonia, for joining us with us. That's a big beat coming in. Another big company that came out with its quarterly earnings was cement major ACC. Its earnings remain subdued in the second quarter. Nigel D'Souza standing by with a complete breakup of the numbers. Nigel, is not looking like a very good quarter from ACC.
Well, on the operational front, ACC's numbers were in line with what the street was estimating. On the top line itself, it came in with a number of 2,800 crores. That's bang in line with what our poll threw up. Even the volumes came in at around 5.61 million tons, as proud as can be on a year-on-year basis, more or less in line with what the street was working with. The operating profit, though, that is surprised on the upside. It came in at around 313 crores. The margins as well came in higher than 11%. We were working with a number of closer towards 10%. But that's primarily because employee costs saw a sharp downtick on a year-on-year basis. It was down 13%. Even on a sequential basis, it was down closer around 15%. So clarity will be awaited on that front, though the management has stated that they have provided towards District Mineral Fund to the tune of around 38 crores. So the operational performance was in line, and the RMC business, if you take a look at it, that's ready-made concrete business. There it delivered a good performance. Top line came in at around 250 crores. That's better on a year-on-year basis. Big growth being seen there. Even on an EBIT front, it came in with a number of around 10 crores. That as well was a good number. Operational performance in line, but on the profitability, it missed estimates because other income was
Right, Nigel, thanks very much indeed. So along with Hero Motor, watch out for ACC, both those earnings coming in after the market close. Biocon also coming out with its numbers after the market close for the day. But billionaire Ruya Brothers promoted SR Steel has secured lenders not to refinance its massive debt. CNBC TV 18's Ritu Sena joining us with the exclusive details. Ritu, this is huge relief for the company. Take us through the quantum of debt that will be refinanced and what this means now for SR Steel.
This is certainly a huge relief for SR Steel. We understand from our sources that a large part of its 38,000 crore debt will be refinanced under RBI's 525 scheme, which essentially means that the company will now have a longer repayment schedule, and therefore the burden to repay the interests will be lessened to a certain extent on the company. So we understand about 9,000 odd crores of its rupee debt and about 5,500 odd crores of its dollar denominated or ECB debt will be refinanced under RBI's 525 scheme. The largest, there's a consortium of 25 lenders to which SR owes about 38,000 crores. So about 15,000 of that debt will be restructured under this scheme. State Bank of India is a consortium lead, and the other large lenders include ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, PNB, as well as IDBI. So not only is it a relief for the company, but even for some of these banks, remember, because for HDFC Bank and as well as for Bank of India, the account had turned into an NPA, and HDFC Bank even sold it to an ARC, and therefore this 525 refinancing will prevent the account from turning an NPA into the books of these banks. We also reached out to the company for their comment. SR Steel confirmed the story that this plan is indeed under implementation, but the banks did not offer a comment.
Thanks, Ritu, for joining us with that exclusive story. There's massive relief coming in for SR Steel. Moving on, insurance regulator IRDA has delivered on its promise and released control guidelines for Indian insurance companies. And there are no surprises. The CNBC TV 18's Alexander Matthew reports that while the norms will bring some clarity, they could lead to some discomfort for foreign investors in the near term.
When the Modi government said it would further open up the Indian insurance sector to foreign investment, the joy was tempered by misgivings about the way ownership and control was being defined. These misgivings are now moving towards acceptance with the IRDA's latest guidelines. The IRDA notification said, and I quote, "The expression control shall include the right to appoint a majority of the directors or to control the management of policy decisions, including by virtue of their shareholding or management rights or shareholders' agreement or voting agreements." This is only a clarification of what is already stated in the law. The main issue of contention is control. The old shareholder agreements gave many foreign shareholders veto power on policy decisions, despite their holding being restricted to 26%. That's been done away with. But experts say long-term benefits outweigh any concerns about the short term.
It is A, not a surprise element. It was only expected. B, it brings in clarity to a contentious area. So I think it should be only appreciated. And C, definitely it is painful in the short term, but over a long period of time this will hold out to good.
Industry players add that this clarity will make for more concrete moves by foreign investors.
To those foreign partners who had such rights, naturally they've lost those rights. So there are pros and cons, but what's important is that there's clarity over it, and based on that, partners have to decide. So to the point that you want, if somebody wants to be in India, they have no choice but to follow those guidelines. That is very clear.
Insurance companies say the clarifications will help the serious foreign investors move forward with their plans to increase holdings in Indian insurance companies. And that is good news for a sector that is starved for fresh capital. In Mumbai, Alexander Matthew.
Well, it's time now for political exchange on India Business Hour. A day after Shiv Sena workers stormed the BCCI office in Mumbai, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has spoken out. Jaitley has said vandalism should not preface debate in a democracy. The Shiv Sena has been running amok in Mumbai over the last few days. First, they stopped Pakistan singer Ghulam Ali concert, then they threw ink on activist Sudhindra Kulkarni for hosting former Pakistan Foreign Minister Khurshid Katuri, and yesterday the vandalism at the BCCI headquarters, but the Pakistan Cricket Board officials were supposed to be hosted. Here's the Finance Minister's message to the Shiv Sena. This also begs the question, is the alliance now in trouble?
It's quite possible that in a large country like India there may be divergent views on many subjects. But we've had a tradition of civility in conveying those different opinions. I have no difficulty if people convey contrarian views, because that's the essence of democracy and debate. But the debate will have to be conducted in a manner in which we are able to raise the level of debate, rather than use vandalism as an instrument for registering our opinions or our protests.
There's a message coming in from the Finance Minister, and the Shiv Sena seems to have stumped cricket between India and Pakistan. Bilateral series between the two countries now seem very unlikely. Sources say talks between the BCCI and its counterpart, the PCB, have been deferred. Security arrangements will have to be monitored before a final decision is taken. This even as Pakistani commentators and former captains Wasim Akram and Shoaib Akhtar have decided to return to Pakistan over security concerns. Pakistani umpire Aleem Dar was also withdrawn from the ongoing India-South Africa series on security concerns.
There has been absolutely no word from the BCCI as to how they intend to move forward, to have the meeting, to reschedule it or what. Nothing at all. I am not optimistic now after what has happened here, because obviously there are certain pressures that are working, and that means that one cannot be optimistic. I would have liked the series to have taken place, but as I speak to you now, the chances are very low.
But let's move away from cricket now. Clashes in Jammu and Kashmir after a 24-year-old was murdered over allegations of cow slaughter. Protesters have clashed with the police in Anantnag and Kulgam. 24-year-old Zahid Bhatt died after an attack allegedly by BJP workers. The valley has witnessed high tension yesterday. During Zahid's funeral, the police has had to resort to tear gas and use pellet guns to try and get the situation under control. Our colleague Mufti Isla filed this report from Srinagar earlier today during the peak of the violence.
Fierce clashes that are going on since last 1 hour here in Maisume and Lal Chowk locality. Now this all has happened because Yasin Malik, who is the head of JKLF had gone to Botingo, the place where he had gone to mourn the death of Zahid, and there he was thrashed along with his supporters. And that really has now been responded to by his supporters here in Lal Chowk, where they're pelting stones at these CRPF and police personnel. Clearly you see those kids, these youths, trying to pelt stones on police and paramilitary forces. We saw many smoke shells being fired on these, but nevertheless they're not desisting from what they're doing. And in fact, at Mysam also, which is kind of a headquarter for Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, there we saw fierce clashes taking place, many vehicles getting damaged.
From Jammu and Kashmir to Punjab, the state continues to be tense after reports of this Sikh holy book being desecrated last week. Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Badal held an emergency meet of his cabinet. Highways were blocked at several places, causing disruptions to routine life. Parliamentary forces have been deployed in Amritsar, Ludhiana, Jalandhar. 3 people have been arrested. The police claim the accused have confessed. Jyoti Kamal reports from Chandigarh.
Well, things are not looking good there in Punjab, and farmers in Punjab are protesting over declining prices of basmati rice. The farmers demanding a minimum support price ranging from 4,200 rupees to 5,000 rupees. Oversupply of basmati rice in the international markets, quality issues as well as decreasing demand have all pushed down the price of rice just when farmers were expecting it to fetch more. Over 800 trains were cancelled in the state in the last fortnight as farmers blocked railway tracks, but their demands, if accepted by the government, would lead to expensive rice for consumers, so there continues to be trouble there in Punjab.
He came, he saw, he conquered milestones, and he won 1 billion hearts across the globe. That's Virendra Sehwag for you. Sehwag was quite simply once-in-a-generation cricketer, the man who retired today from international cricket, and the IPL gave all of us so much joy. Undoubtedly one of the best test openers India's ever seen. Virendra Sehwag personified aggression, going after the opposition bowlers from the word go. Let's look back at an outstanding career that delivered every bit of the promise.
Multan 2004. In 72 years of Test cricket, no Indian had breached the 300-run barrier. Virendra Sehwag was 295 not out.
There it is! Huge 6! 300! And can you believe it? He got us 100 with a 6. He ramped it over 2 man. He made his mind up. The audacity.
मैंने सोचा नहीं था कि मैं ट्रिपल सेंचुरी बना सकता हूं टेस्ट क्रिकेट में, लेकिन वो सब कहते हैं कि भगवान ने आपकी किस्मत में लिखा था कि आप ट्रिपल सेंचुरी बनाओगे और आपने ट्रिपल सेंचुरी बना दी. तो अगर आप मुझसे दोबारा पूछें कि आपने कैसे बना दी, क्या हुआ, तो मैं आपको कोई एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं दे सकता.
Audacity mixed with an almost unbelievable sense of simplicity. Over 15 years, Virendra Sehwag thrilled audiences not just in India, but world over. Changing the game when one thought it had been changed indelibly. The talent was for all to see.
I think he has the potential to be anything that he wants to be. He has that much talent and ability.
But the journey was far from easy. Growing up in a quaint suburb of Delhi, not known to many before he arrived on the scene, Sehwag's rise from no one to Nawab put Najafgarh on the world map. On Test debut in South Africa, Sehwag stroked a masterful century in the presence of the master himself, a man he grew up idolizing. Soon, the world would call them clones, and the association of master and disciple would prove to be a very fruitful one for Indian cricket. The apprentice would at times supersede the boss himself, running rampant across formats, across the globe, leaving a generation of bowlers bewildered.
No, he's not at 6 again. He timed that absolutely magnificently.
The crowning glory of a glittering career would come despite personal failure on the 2nd of April 2011. The duck at the Wankhede would be his most memorable one. When the famed hand-eye coordination waned, the effect was ultimately felt on his career as an international cricketer. But make no mistake, Sehwag's legacy will remain untarnished. He leaves a marvel that will last the test of time. From the uppercuts, to the dancing down the track, to the habitual boundary to get the game underway, Virendra Sehwag leaves the game richer with the unbridled joy his batsmanship gave. Thank you, Viru.
Well, it's the end of an innings there for Virendra Sehwag. It's time now for us to head into a break here on India to this hour. But when we return, we tell you how Housing.com could well be valued at $500 million. The details on India Business Hour Plus when we return.
Your latest iPhone could well be running on a Samsung chip. Bewildered? Well, stay tuned to find out.